Hello, everyone. My name is Maylina, and this is,
Jordan.
and we are the board certified bays.
Yes, we are. I'm just kidding. I can't
Happy,
stay that boring.
happy,
Whatever
whatever day
day,
it
whatever
is.
day you're listening.
happy. I hope you're having a great day, and I've had a great week, and will continue to.
Yes, we will.
We are on episode 3 of our 4 parts of the functions of behavior. Today we are covering attention, so let's jump right into it. Jordan, can you please explain the attention function?
The attention function is when we engage in a behavior in order to get the eyes, engagement, or simply put, attention from somebody else or a group of people. And so the behaviors that we're engaging in are to serve that purpose. That is pretty much attention. But it can look like a variety of things, just like any of the other behaviors that we've mentioned so far. And it's just important for us to be able to catch them.
Why?
But there are some things that look...
Why is it important for us to catch them?
What? Catch attention?
Attention-seeking behaviors. Why is it important for us to catch them?
So that we don't accidentally reinforce them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just keep me in check. But the reason we want to know about them is because that's why they're doing them. To get more engagement, get more attention, get more eye contact from us or a group of people. And then they're going to be maintained by that. And so what's really important to look for are the things that we're taught from a very, very young age, which are what?
Communication.
Put you on the spot. No.
Wait. You said which are from what we learn from a very young age?
Yep. What matters when it comes to attention?
What matters? What you're giving attention to? I don't know. Why are you looking at me like that? I'm confused.
Because it's eye contact.
Oh, okay.
Like, we talk about this all the time.
You were just talking so fast, and it takes me like 3 seconds to process each sentence, and you're already looking at me, so I was just confused.
Okay. Well, yes. So from whenever we're kids, or for you young parents out there or old parents, well, the one thing that you did as soon as your child looked at you was like, oh, they're looking, yay. So like as early as babies or infants, you know, when there's eye contact, there is some sort of praise or social engagement because of that. That doesn't necessarily disappear as a child gets older, but it does ingrain that attention can be important. So one of the things to frequently look for is eye contact. Also smiles, laughter, signs of, increased, engagement with what's happening.
Yeah. I kind of jump into like an example.
Sure.
Okay. So I have a kiddo that is non-vocal, that we have come in every day, and he is a lot of fun. But he knows when you don't necessarily want to be with him, or don't necessarily want to hang with him, or aren't interested in him as much as he would like you to be, because then he turns on all the attention-seeking behaviors. So, doing things like standing on chairs, stuff like that, because he's like looking at you smiling. Whereas staff that is actually proactive in giving him the love and attention and reinforcement and just a relationship, asking him how he's doing, engaging with him, he doesn't do that with them, or not nearly as much, because they're already giving him the attention that he loves, so he doesn't have to seek it in a way that is not as cool.
Absolutely. It happens. I mean, that's where what becomes important is that proactive versus reactive type of teaching that we always talk about as well, which I'm not so sure that we've gotten into that here. But so again, with attention function, it is something that we do all the time as well. Right? So when you call somebody's name, what are you looking to get out of that? Obviously a response. I think also when we are playing sports, or we're in an event where there's a crowd around and there's just one person that, your crush is there, or there's somebody of interest to you there, and you play a little bit harder, or shine a little bit brighter whenever you were there.
No, seriously. No, really. That's a really good question. Did you feel like that ever like happened to you? Like where you like all of a sudden felt like you had like superpowers on the basketball court because you knew someone was watching you?
Yeah, I got that MJ Space Jam juice.
Yeah. Did you really ever have that experience?
I
You
know,
don't have
like
to tell
once or
me
twice.
who or what, but it's just
Yeah, I
like,
know, like
did you
once or
feel
twice.
that like, yeah, that's cute.
Yeah, but I also think that there's a big part, if I knew ahead of time, but I would never find out during a game. So like whenever I was playing and I was focused, the 4 lines that signal like the court, I never saw anything past that.
That's because you couldn't see and you didn't have contacts.
No, it wasn't that. It was literally that nothing mattered outside of that.
Yeah, no, I get that. That makes sense.
So anyways, we digress. But attention seeking behaviors, like there was 2 examples right there, but we can add in more. Like when you send a text message to someone, when you call their name, when you make a phone call to somebody, these are all attention seeking behaviors. When you give somebody a compliment, right, that doesn't necessarily mean it's attention seeking, but if you like the praise that you get, or like, oh, thank you, or like watching somebody melt in front of you, then yeah, maybe it can be. I think what I always argue with in terms of attention is that attention doesn't necessarily mean because somebody wants a person or an individual in the room with them, because that's not attention. That's another function, but it's the engagement piece. Knowing that you have been pulled away from what it is that you're doing to watch them, or to make sure that they're safe, or to say something, or something like that, that is attention. Yep. That engagement piece, that interaction piece is there. Now, when I say interaction, it could be like locking eyes from across the room, right? Like that is enough to be like, oh yeah, like they're watching me, they're paying attention. Like that, there was some level of engagement there. If the client or the child or the individual does not think that you're looking or observing or changing anything that you're doing, there's no reason for them to engage in that behavior. So, if you were like listening on the other side of the door and they don't know that you're there, they're probably not going to do something like that if it is true attention-seeking behavior.
Yeah, I've been doing something recently that like has been like just a personal thing that I feel like has been cute. I try every day to go in, because we don't have like, a gang of clients, especially in the morning. It's pretty quiet. So I like try to go into each of the rooms and say hi to my kids in the morning and like check in and see how they're doing and like make that like eye contact and like really, make them be like, we're excited that you're here today, So I've been trying to really do that. And I feel like it's been like kind of cool to like see not just the kids, but to the staff being like, oh, like, like they actually care and they actually notice that I'm here. And there's been also a few cute moments where then the kids are like, are you going to hang out with me right now? And I'm like, I'll be back later, but so that's been fun. I think that's, if you have the opportunity to do that, you definitely should. And that's for all clients, not just for the kids that can talk back to you. I think just acknowledging, giving squeezes, tickles, hugs, all those things can definitely make a difference with how a kiddo starts off their day.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've been doing that too, or like trying to be more conscious of doing it for both the kids and the staff's sake.
Mm-hmm. Especially by Thursday, we're all like,
yeah,
we're almost at the end of the week.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that's important. Just feeling heard and seen, and that attention and engagement out of it. Got those 2 words confused. You're rubbing off on me.
You're welcome.
They're just having that moment, even if it's just a 10 seconds of like, hey, do you need anything today? Can I help you with anything really quickly? And like moving on, can be very impactful and go a long way. And we also know that we're kind of, privileged in that sense that we have that opportunity being in the clinic setting in California, because it's rare to have those type of clinic settings. They're more in-home type of settings.
Yeah.
And that's where you feel like you're in an island. So
yeah. Sorry, and a tag team on that too. I also try to do this with parents and like guardians, whoever drops off the kids, because you never know what it was like coming before clinic, trying to get your kid ready for in the morning, or like what they're going through, or things like that. So that I think too, like that is something that I've been trying to do too. Is like at least for my parents, and then there's a few that I also have connections with that I'm close with from previously having their kids or whatever, and yeah, I think too that makes a big difference too. Just checking in with the parents, not necessarily like doing a whole PC session outside and it can turn into that sometimes, but just being like, "Hey, how you doing?" or like recalling something that they mentioned, like they were gonna do that weekend, like they finally get a mom's night out or whatever, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Girl, how was it? Did it go fun? Did you get to breathe for a second?" Like all those things too.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to show that. I think it's also important for parents, kids, staff to know that we're human as well. Like that connection can be good. Within boundaries, of course, you got to keep those. But just showing that you're seen and you're heard, and giving that attention in that way can be a very powerful thing.
Absolutely.
I think. I think when we're also talking about attention behaviors for kids that we see, or clients that we see, or even in ourselves, we want to make sure that how the attention is given is done right, because this is one of those functions that really intertwines with all of the other three really well. So we have to be very conscious of it. So looking for that frequent eye contact, looking for those smiles and things like that. In the last episode, we talked about escape, just kids getting up and running away. A lot of the times that I see that behavior, it's actually paired with attention, because when they're running away, they're looking back like this and they've got a big smile on their face because they just created the best game of chase ever.
Yeah.
Right? They might not be paying attention to the fact that their safety is a big concern in this
And if
moment.
their safety is a concern, you better chase after that kid.
Exactly. Right. But I think that's where it comes into, where it's like, hey, like, why did you do what you did? Like, safety, good. No more questions asked. That was perfect. Perfect response. But safety is not a concern. Why'd you do what they did? Well, they ran away and I need to maintain. I was like, well, did you notice anything else? Did you notice them laughing at you? Like, no. Did you notice them looking at you? No. Why not? Like, those are really big indicators. But again, it's not always going to be that obvious, right? Sometimes they're a little bit more subtle. And the textbooks and what we're trained to do is ignore attention-seeking behaviors. And I always have to preface here that we ignore the behavior, but we don't ignore the
individual themselves.
That's right. We do not want to ignore the individual. If we ignore the individual, then we're not aware of whether or not they're doing something safe or not safe, which is hugely important. So, but we can ignore the behaviors. We should know what they're doing at all times. If you're with them for 2 hours, you should know what they're doing for 2 hours. Even if you're not directly beside them, they need to be in view of you, and at least close by. So that way, you can implement any reactive strategies that you need to if something was to occur. Right. But again, that eye contact and attention being able to go across the board with all of these functions, we really have to be on our P's and Q's when it comes to attention-seeking behavior. And it's something that you can play with too, in the sense of like, I'm going to give more attention right now, and let's see if this behavior happens again. If it continues to happen again, maybe we're looking into the wrong function. But if it does stop or it does decrease a little bit, maybe we're in the right area. Right? Anything you'd want to add to that?
Within reason, within safety.
Yeah, safety's always
I think
important.
too, you hit a good point that attention goes with the other functions really well, but I think it also turns into attention. Like it could start from escape, and then all of a sudden, they notice that you're really like paying attention to what they're doing, and now it's turning into a game. So I think a lot of the times, with like, especially with like tantrums specifically, I feel like for me personally, with a lot of my kids, I know that it can easily go from a tantrum due to denied access or not wanting to work. And then as soon as they notice how much attention they're getting for one specific behavior that they do, maybe not the crying, maybe not the, the sliding things off the table, but maybe they all of a sudden pinch staff, and then the staff is like, now they're like, oh, wow, that was really interesting. Let me do it again. So it can quickly go from, I'm not even worried about doing this activity anymore because that was really funny. Like, I'm going to do that again. So it quickly will turn into attention.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's also where, us as individuals or as the therapist, we need to be aware of ourselves and do some self-reflection, self-monitoring in terms of what are we putting our engagement and our energy into. If we're putting it into every little response that isn't going the way that we anticipated it to, or it needs to go, then we're giving far more energy to the things that are wrong versus the things that are right.
Yep.
And that is also creates this slippery slope of like, well, you only really talk to me and engage with me when I'm doing something wrong. So I'm just going to keep doing things wrong because then I know you care about me.
Yeah.
And that's a really slippery, scary space to be in. And so that's also where we talk about being proactive and give this stuff ahead of time. Like make sure that you're giving enough to keep a kiddo engaged.
And on behalf of parents, if you reinforce the wrong thing, I'd be upset.
Yeah. I think, it's so true.
I'm like, wait, what? I sent you off to ABA and now you're coming back
Angry.
biting me every 5 seconds?
Yeah. Not
because
good.
someone reacted in a way they shouldn't have. So be mindful of that because we definitely don't want to do the wrong thing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Let me bring this in. Let me talk to you guys too. Really quick. We, again, are in a field where we are giving ourselves to help others. This means that you cannot be robotic when you are working with a kiddo and that boring to the point where you're not engaging with them. You need to engage with your clients that you're working with and you're servicing, because if you do not, then you are likely going to get some of these behaviors because they're going to crave that feeling that somebody is with them.
Even when they're on their breaks, unless they specifically tell you they don't want you to be all up in their grill.
In which case you got to do something else.
Breaks. Yeah, but you still got to be there, right? But I would say that too. Like another thing that people mess up in is they're like, oh well, they're on their break, so I'm just gonna let them. And then they're taking their data or talking to other staff or things like that. Well, all that time was time you could have given them some good attention, and you missed that point. So of course they're not gonna want to start more structured stuff with you in the next 2 minutes.
Without getting some of that attention first.
It's not a break for you. It's a break for them.
Exactly. So just make sure that you're not, one, trying to train individuals to be robotic or robots, and you yourself do not be robotic and boring. One of the rules that I teach, and this is a really lighthearted rule, so I wouldn't even say it's a rule, but one of the things that I tell the staff that are just starting in the field that I'm working with is pretend that you are 2 years older than the client. And the reason I say that is because you're still young enough in the mind, if you can, tap into that, still young enough to play all the things that they are interested in and play with them and engage with them on their level. But you're old enough to know the difference between right and wrong and how things should go, right? So I feel like 2 years older than the client, if they're 12, you pretend to be 14. If they're 8, you pretend to be 10, right? Where you still have this, like leadership confidence because you're older, but you're also young enough to be able to engage and get on their level with what it is that they're doing. And that seems to be something that helps some of the staff that are, fresh in the field that don't really know as much just yet because they're still learning, to help them be able to connect with kids, but also maintain that type of leadership. I don't really want to say control, but that engagement, so that they can be successful.
I agree. That's awesome.
It is.
I never heard you say that, but that's cool.
Really?
Yeah.
I suppose you're not always in the trainings.
No. Sweet. Well, I think that about wraps it up, right?
Pretty much wraps up attention. Just pay attention to. I can't say attention there because I already said that. Pay attention to what they're doing after they do something. If there's eye contact, if they're smiling, there's laughing because you're doing something that you weren't doing just a minute ago, there's a good chance you're on some attention stuff. So be mindful.
Yep.
All right. When I am seeking attention from Maylena right here, I'll smack her on the butt.
Which usually does not work. I'm just kidding.
It does. It can be positive, it can be negative, but at least I know she's with me.
Okay. Well, yep. I usually just call his name,
Yeah, I do the maladaptive stuff, and she does the appropriate thing.
Sweet. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We hope you have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you next time.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Part 3 of the series is down. Part 4 to come. See you guys soon.